Hi everyone. Okay, so here I'm using MAC Painterly Paint Pot and I'm just putting that all over my lid. Now I'm just taking an NYX fluffy blending brush and just kind of blending that paint pot in. Okay, so now I'm using MAC Silly Vanilli eyeshadow and I'm just going to set that paint pot a little bit so shadows blend a little softer and easy. So now I'll be using the ABH Modern Renaissance palette and I'll be using the shade Love Letter inside my crease with a Real Techniques blending brush. So right now I'm just using that Love Letter shade with the Real Techniques brush to just kind of map out my crease. This isn't exactly a cut crease, but I mean, it's kind of similar to it also. Okay, so now I've switched to a MAC 217 blending brush and I'm still blending out that Love Letter shade. So here I'm trying to focus that Love Letter inside the crease and kind of keep it more structured and concentrated into the crease. When in doubt, pinky out. Originally I wanted to go in with one color only, but I decided to use the ABH Modern Renaissance palette again and use the color Venetian Red. Just using a fluffy shader brush by MAC just to basically put that Venetian Red inside the crease and give it a little more depth. Okay, so now I'll be using NYX Face and Body Glitter in the shade Crystal for the lids. I'll also be using NYX Glitter Glue to apply this. Okay, so now I'll be using Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Concealer Palette just to cover up any blemishes before I put on my foundation. And I'll just be using a makeup wipe to remove any of the excess glitter fallout. And then I'll be using a damp beauty blender just to blend everything in and soften up all the harsh edges. In this video I've used multiple hydrating sprays. I've used Max Fix Plus, Pure Minerals, and Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Hydrating. For foundation I'll be using Urban Decay All Nighter Foundation and I'm applying it with NYX Flat Foundation Brush. I'm just making sure to keep the edges of the under eye just nice and clean and sharp. So a little more time and precision is always good here under the eye to just keep the look really nice and clean. I definitely chose to do a full coverage foundation. It was on the heavier side, which I found to be fitting for this glam look. And I'm still using the damp beauty blender just to soften out all the edges and blend the foundation in a little bit better. I like to make sure to take a little more time when blending foundation in, just because you want to make sure it's all even, and you didn't miss anything. Now I'll be using Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Light. Now I'll be using MAC Quick Trick Stick to sculpt and define the face. To blend in this cream, I'll be using an e.l.f. small stipple brush. Using NYX Away We Glow in the shade Moon Glow. Using Laura Mercier translucent setting powder to set all of my concealer, and I'll be applying it with the Cake and Bake sponge. I'll be using an NYX fan brush just to dust off all the excess powder. Now to set my cream contour, I'll be using the Kat Von D Shade and Light contour palette. To apply this powder, I'll be using a MAC 168 brush. For blush, I'll be using MAC Mineralized Blush in the shade Petal Power. For brows, I'll be using MAC Pencil in the shade Stud. For my lips, I'll be using NYX Slide On Glide On Lip Liner in the shade Crushed. Now I'll be using Milani Amore Matte Metallic Lip Cream in the shade Prismatic Touch. Eyelashes, I'm using Benefit Their Real Lash Primer. For mascara, I'll be using MAC Instacurl Lash Mascara. Now I'll be using NYX Faux White Under Eye Brightener in the shade Baby Powder. For powder highlight, I'll be using NYX Duochromatic Illuminating Powder in the shade Twilight Tint. And now I'll be using MAC Strobe Powder in the shade Soft Frost. I'll be using another NYX Duochromatic Illuminating Powder in the shade Lavender Still. To highlight my under eye area a little bit more, I'm using MAC Emphasize Powder. Everyone, so this is my New Year's glam look. I hope you all enjoyed this video and have a happy and safe New Year's.